this is Walt with Raybuck Auto Body Parts, and today we're working on the drivetrain in our 67 Chevy pickup. We are going to be putting all of this in today, and going to go over a little bit of how we're going to do that. This transmission and transfer case and this adapter are very heavy compared to like a modern day transmission, which typically has aluminum case. These are all steel, everything's steel. So I think combined weight is in the neighborhood of about 300 pounds. So it makes it difficult to try and put this all together and get it up and get the transmission aligned. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take it in sections. We're going to take the adapter, bolt that to our transfer case, and put that in as one unit. The transmission will go in first. I think we're going to have this on a transmission jack, so I think we'll be able to get it up in there, get it positioned so we can get our spline engagement correct, get it bolted up, and then get that supported. The one issue we have with that is this transmission. This is the cross member which supports everything. This can't just kind of go in from the bottom. It has to go in on an angle and kind of get slid in under everything. The problem you have is while you're trying to support the transmission and the transfer case, it's hard to get that in because you have jacks and different things in the way. That cross member supports this. It basically supports the engine or the transmission and the transfer case in the middle. So the transmission would be here, the transfer case would be here, and the cross member sits right about there. So it just makes it difficult, being that these are very heavy, trying to support both pieces and get that cross member in there without dropping anything. So that's what we're going to do. We shouldn't have to really jack the truck up or do anything like that. The truck sits high enough, and I think we can get each of these kind of under there and then put them on a tranny jack and get those up. So that's the plan. We'll see if it works. But stay tuned. We're going to show you probably a lot of time lapse of us putting this in and see how it goes.
So we're getting ready to put these two pieces together. You can see the gaskets are all in place. A little bit of gasket sealer. Got the top two bolts in. We're going to try to get that aligned, and then we're going to get it all together and bolt it together so this becomes one unit. And then, like you said, we're going to get the transmission in, and then we're going to put this in separately, and hopefully it works.
Here's enough.
So you may not have seen it, but on the other side I was turning the yoke connection to turn the splines to help it align with this piece here. So it helps if you have two people to get this lined up.
One other thing to note, on the transfer case and the transmission, the spline or the threads that go into the case are open to the case, so it's always a good idea to put some type of thread sealer on these. The chances of it leaking through the threads is kind of minimal, but better to have something on there to prevent it. Now, with this type of transfer case and this adapter, one of the more important things is that there are two bolts. There is a little window in here. This is the adapter that connects the transfer case input shaft to the transmission output shaft, and you would think that this big adapter would do something, but there is nothing in here. This is just an access panel to get to the two bolts that hold this transfer case on. I found out the hard way after struggling with it for quite some time till I realized that there was a little plate there and there's two bolts in here. So,
yep. Okay, this is all together. As you can see, it was kind of a pain. All the bolts are up in there. Like Walt said, they're kind of a pain to get to, so having two people work on it definitely made it a little bit easier. we are going to move the camera. We're going to get ready to install the transmission and, I don't know, get this thing
Pray.
pray pray that we don't pull muscles or smash our fingers getting this thing in. Oh, and before we put it in, there's the magic plate that apparently only seals up what, those bolts?
Yeah. Yep, there's two bolts, a short one and a long one that hold all that together. So yeah, just in case you're taking it apart, don't forget those, because it won't come apart if you don't get those.
Okay, I don't know how much of that you could see. That was kind of a pain. Definitely a two-person job. We used the transmission jack, got it up in there. The problem is trying to align everything. We got the spline in, but then it was hitting the pilot bearing and not seating in the pilot bearing. So what we ended up doing was actually connecting the clutch pedal back up and pushing in on it. And Walt had this little sleeve that we put over, which gave us just enough leverage to lift up. One person lifted on this and pushed on the clutch, and the other person was down below and jiggling it, and it went in. It finally seated. So we got the bolts in, and now we are going to obviously take that sleeve off, and then we're going to get the transfer case and the adapter up in here. Okay, we're getting ready to put the transfer case in place. We actually are using a motorcycle jack. So we put a pan, like a tray, you could even use a piece of wood on top of the jack. It is sitting on top of that. That way we could jack it up and then we could slide it back and forth to get it over the splines of the transmission. So we're going to see how this goes. Okay, well that is all in. It actually wasn't nearly as bad as what we thought it was going to be. A lot of grunting, wiggling, prying, and well, you could hear banging, and it's all in. So this is what the setup looked like underneath with the jacks. We used a transmission jack over here and the motorcycle jack on that side. Now I guess fun part number 3, we have to put the cross member in. So we're going to try to move these two jacks apart a little bit and then wiggle this cross member up in between them. Okay, we took both jacks out and put a floor jack under the transmission. It's supporting everything. Now we're going to try to get that thing, you probably can't see it, but up into these holes, and then it mounts under here with those two rubber mounts over there. This is going to be a lot of fun. And Walt said that the frame actually sprung a little bit to either sides of the holes don't line up. So let's see how this goes. Okay, it is all in place. It actually wasn't nearly as bad as we thought. It just took some finagling. The cross member was a little tricky. If you can see, if I can zoom in on it over there, you can see how it mounts at the top and the bottom, or to the top and bottom of the frame rail. So that was a little tricky. The bottom didn't want to, the tops went in, but the bottom didn't want to line up, so we put a punch in the hole and then just separated it that way, and then the bolts dropped in. So it wasn't too bad. Got the new rubber mounts, transmission mounts. Sorry, there's not a whole lot of room under here. New transmission mounts are in. Tighten those up. The original ones had sleeves in them, metal sleeves. The new ones did not. We were debating on cutting the old sleeves down and putting them back in there. I'm assuming they had the sleeves so that it only compressed so far, so the bolt compressed so far. But after tightening up and snugging it up with the bolts just going straight through, we left it alone because it seemed like it was all fine. So that's it. It's all in. So we're going to get ready to start putting drive shafts in. We got actually the first one in, the front one in. Realized we had to put it in because before we put the cross member in, because if you could see it, you can't really get to the U-bolts up in here when the cross member's in. So we put this side in. Now we're getting ready to put the back one in. And this whole drive line is going to be just about in place. So that's it. Stay tuned for the next video with Walt doing something with the valve covers and whatever he's going to do up there. And thanks for watching.